Hey, good morning there, Chiefs fans. It's Jason High back in here with another quick video. So it's been a few weeks. It's hard to believe, but it's already been almost 3 weeks this Sunday since Chiefs won their second consecutive Super Bowl. I feel like a lot of people are still kind of in the afterglow of it a little bit, at least just thinking about, looking back on the season and how incredible it was that they were able to go ahead and win two titles in a row, and they were able to do it very differently than they were the season before. This year, it really was all about the defense. It really feels like, the offense made plays when they had to in the playoffs, but just seeing that defense carry the team, wow, just still incredible to think about. This is the NFL, and the NFL really never quits, and it's kind of time to shift gears a little bit and start talking about the offseason and start talking about the moves the Chiefs are probably going to make and the few that they've already made yesterday. The two big moves that in the last couple of days that have been announced or rumored or actually have happened, the Chiefs did release wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling, also known as MVS. They released him from his contract. He had one more season left on his contract. He was due to make about $13 million, $13 million. And the Chiefs stand to save about $10 million against the cap. As a reminder, the NFL is a salary-capped league. You are only allowed to have about $255 million, I believe, is what the new cap is in player salaries. So some people may be asking, wow, MVS played so well in the playoffs, why would you get rid of him? But the truth is that money was not guaranteed to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and the Chiefs stood to save $10.5 million by releasing him. And so I would not rule out a return by MVS to the Chiefs. Basically, if you're looking at it from was this a good move perspective and a personnel perspective, you'd have to look and say, okay, would Marquez Valdez-Scantling make $12 or $13 million on the open free agent market? And I think the answer to that's probably no. I think even with increasing wide receiver and player salaries, I think it's very fair to say that because he had such a down regular season, I don't think a team is going to go out there and going to pay him that kind of money. And I think the Chiefs definitely know that, and I think that they're amicable to a return for him, but I think it's going to have to be on a lower salary. I would be all for Marquez Valdez-Scantling coming back on a one-year deal. If he was scheduled to make $10.5, $12 million this year, I'd be more interested in bringing him back on kind of like a Justin Watson type contract, maybe a 1 year, $3 million deal, something like that, maybe 1 year, $4 or $5 million with incentives. I think that's a lot more indicative of his production on the field in the regular season and that value. The second big move is the Chiefs have placed the franchise tag on L'Jarius Sneed. So for those of you that don't know, the franchise tag is a tool that NFL teams can use. They can only use it on one player per season, per offseason, and so therefore they cannot now use that on Chris Jones. So Chris Jones is going to reach free agency unless the Chiefs get a contract and a deal done with him before free agency starts, which I think at this point is pretty unlikely with how far along they are in the process. Back to L'Jarius Sneed. So the franchise tag is going to be about $19.5 million. That is a fully guaranteed 1 year salary only for L'Jarius Sneed. Now, L'Jarius Sneed could refuse to sign the franchise tag because he wants to get a long-term deal done. L'Jarius Sneed had a fantastic season. It was an all-pro level type season. He really was arguably the best player in that secondary on the number 2 defense in the NFL, and really, in my opinion, the number 1 defense, because if you include the playoffs, they ended up winning the Super Bowl on the back of that defense. So L'Jarius Sneed wants a raise, and he wants to get paid, as he should. He was on Good Morning Football, I believe, a couple weeks ago with Kay Adams and Peter Schrager and a couple other people, or maybe it was just Kay Adams, now that I think about it. He was on that show, and he said, they asked him, do you have a message for Brett Veach, the GM of the Chiefs? And he said, pay me. So, that's not really, you can't really get any clearer than that. L'Jarius Sneed's been an awesome player, and he wants to get paid, as he should. Now, with the Chiefs placing this franchise tag on him, it essentially gives the Chiefs the right to allow him to talk to other teams to see what his value is. And I think what's going to happen there is I think the Chiefs are probably going to trade L'Jarius Sneed. I think they did that just to get it figured out for Sneed to where it's like, okay, we've got him at least under control. We can either sign him, he can talk to other teams, we can figure out what the market's going to look like, and then we have the option to match that value, that contract that another team may offer. This very similar thing happened to Lamar Jackson this past offseason. He was franchise tagged. It was the non-exclusive franchise tag, so he was able to talk to other teams and see what kind of offers he could get. And I think that the Chiefs are going to probably approach it that way, and they wanted to just kind of get that done for right now. And then I think that they're going to fully turn their attention to Chris Jones. That's what it seems like. That's what Jeremy Fowler reported yesterday. It seems like the Chiefs right now really do want to bring Chris Jones back, and they're going to try everything that they can to do that. So enough of the, kind of the updating of the news and the actual stories. I'm going to give you my opinions on what I think the Chiefs should do. I do love what they're doing right now with Sneed, because I do think that as great of a player as Sneed is, I do think that the Chiefs have shown an ability to replace good, talented, maybe even great corners in the past few off seasons. Think about L'Jarius Ward. They let him walk to the San Francisco 49ers a couple years ago, and they did not miss a beat. They have a very young secondary with Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, Chamari Connor as a safety. Brian Cook should be coming back off injury next season. He's a second-year or third-year player. And then you've also still got the draft, of course. So I think L'Jarius Sneed, as great of a player as he is, this is a salary-capped league, and I do think that he is a little bit more replaceable than Chris Jones. Although he'll be cheaper, much cheaper than Chris Jones, you could probably get L'Jarius Sneed at about $18, $19 million a year, whereas Chris Jones is going to want $30. Chris Jones wants $30 million a year. He is an older player. I just think that because of how elite Chris Jones has been the last couple of years, the amount of snaps he's played, I think he has shown that he is going to be able to still be an elite player for the next couple of years. And I think that the Chiefs right now, they've taken the long game, and it's been a really great strategy, and it's worked out extremely well for them. But I think that the Chiefs have shown a tendency to not pay players in general, except for a couple of guys. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is one of them. Travis Kelce has been the other, and Chris Jones thus far has been the other. They did not want to trade Chris Jones this past offseason when they absolutely could have. They could have done the same thing that they did with Tyreek Hill this past March. They could have said, you know what, Chris Jones is 29 years old. He's going to want $30 million a year. We think we're just going to go ahead and move on from him and trade him rather right now while his value's high. And let him go to another team. The Chiefs did not do that. They really wanted to get a deal done with him. They just were a little bit far off on the negotiations. That being said, the Chiefs have a number. Every team has a number. The Chiefs have shown in the past that they are willing to let premier free agents walk if it does not make sense for them financially. I do think the Chiefs are playing this for the long game. I don't think that they're all in necessarily on this upcoming season in a way that it's going to actually hinder them in future off seasons. But I do think the Chiefs are going to be aggressive in trying to re-sign Chris Jones. And I think if they're able to get Chris Jones back, I think they'll see what they can do with L'Jarius Sneed. But I would expect a franchise tag and trade at that point, because I think it might just make a little bit more sense money-wise. Another move that I read about this as a possibility. I don't know how possible it is, but I might be thinking it's not impossible, is that the Chiefs could actually potentially release Justin Reed. Justin Reed has been a fantastic safety for the Chiefs. This is going into the third and final year of his contract, and he's at a very reasonable salary, especially for how good of a player he is, how versatile he is. But the Chiefs do stand to save $10 million against the cap if they release him. And again, guys, I know it might seem crazy. Why would the Chiefs do that? They had the number one defense. They just won the Super Bowl. Why would they let these defensive players go? Again, a reminder, it's a salary-capped league. And I don't think the Chiefs want to enter next offseason with the limitations that they had offensively again. So I do expect the Chiefs to want to sign another wide receiver once they get these internal defensive players figured out. I also think they may want to look at another left tackle. They're going to have to maybe get one because Donovan Smith is a free agent. They do have Wanye Morris, who was a third-round rookie last season and played fairly well whenever he had to fill in for 4 games late in the season for Donovan Smith. But I think the Chiefs are probably going to want to go with the veteran there. So, anyways, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens the next few days. The new league year, I believe, starts March 15th. So moves can happen before then. They can be reported before then, but they won't be official until then. So I'll come back with another video whenever we start to see some big-time moves happen. So go Chiefs, and everyone have a great day.